digital empowerment. As the keynote speaker for today's conference for ChatGPT to AI disruption, Dr. Sawant, the Chief Mentor of Maharashtra Knowledge Corporation Limited, MKCL, has been a driving force in bridging the digital divide in India. Under his leadership, MKCL has pioneered large-scale affordable computers, literacy programs empowering over 20 million learners through the extensive network of learning centers. His contributions to India's technological progress extend to his time to CDAC, where he played a pivotal role in developing India's first indigenous supercomputer Param, a landmark achievement in the nation's journey towards self-reliance in high-performance computing. His groundbreaking work in e-learning, skill development, and employability training has shaped digital education policies benefiting learners in over 180 countries. A recipient of numerous prestigious awards, Dr. Sawant continues to drive innovation in AI-powered skill development and digital careers, shaping the future of learning and employment. Today, we are privileged to hear his insights on a topic of critical importance, the partnership between human intelligence and artificial intelligence. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Vivek Sawant.
Am I audible properly?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, I will express my deep gratitude to Professor Dr. Shraddha Naik and all the colleagues from both the institutions, the Chandrasekhar Agashe College and the MES Garware Commerce College, to have invited me and given me an opportunity to speak to you this morning. Our topic is going to be very interesting. In short, if I had to express this topic, I will say I and AI. Okay? And what is the AI asking me and you? Do you agree with me? Yes? So we have to explore our relationships. The media hype is of this kind. They are telling you most of the things which are negative. I've used word cloud to save time so that I can communicate more ideas with you in short time. How many of you agree with this slide? That these things have been told to you by media? Is it right? Yes. Media has been always telling that it is a job killer and all that, okay? Let's explore now. These are another things which are told, okay, that it leads to frauds and scams and whatnot. But let's look at a quick history, and history is very interesting. The purpose of history is to come to know the exact nature of the contemporary AI, that is today's AI. Previously, the scientists were thinking that they will mimic human intelligence. The word artificial intelligence arose in a conference where all scientists were planning to create an intelligence in the machines which will be exactly resembling the human intelligence by doing all these kinds of things. I believe that you will be reading the slides as I go ahead. Herbert Simon, his books we used to read when we were students. And the things that they achieved is Isaac Newton's Principia of Mathematica. There are several theorems he has given, out of which he could prove 38 theorems. So much of mathematical intelligence that was developed in the machine. And the goal was to replace human reasoning. Later came Alan Turing's test. You can see there is a wall in between a human being, a human respondent, and an AI. The Turing test is that if the human being asks a question and if the answers received from both of them, you cannot distinguish between them, then you will have supposed to have created artificial intelligence. That the machine gives exactly similar response like the human being. That was the test. And all the quest was to develop such an intelligence. Here came another big step to prove that perhaps we are very close to mimicking human intelligence, in the sense that the human conversations, like what we do with AI today, very close to them, but in text, became possible. And the meaningful conversations, okay, what we call today as conversational AI, the origins of that are in Weizenbaum's discoveries. And it created a big discussion and debate about human-machine interactions. These were the claims made by great people like Herbert Simon, Marvin Minsky, that within 20 years, within 30 years, within a generation, we will create an AI which will substantially replace the human intelligence. And this was a very, very scary statement which Marvin Minsky made. Okay, the intelligence will go to such an extent that it will not even keep you as pets. He later went ahead to say that we will synthesize mind out of mindless parts, as if believing that if I dismantle a car and keep all the parts of the car on this platform, none of the parts will have the carness in itself. But when you assemble together, it becomes a car. He thought that perhaps human mind is such a mechanistic entity that you keep the parts, put the parts together. In each part there is no mind, but if you put them together, there will be a mind. Psychology later, of course, gave us the clear understanding, and it existed in ancient Indian wisdom also, in Patanjali's Yoga Darshan, that mind is not an organ like liver or stomach. You cannot see it. Mind is one of the functions of brain. And so you cannot create it out of some parts and create a machine out of it. Okay? But anyway, the direction of the research was to mimic even the mind. And what happened? These attempts regularly failed. There is almost 60 years of research which brought the conclusion that we cannot create something which resembles human intelligence. 20th century had given terrific confidence to the scientists that they can make a machine out of men. This was 20th century's contribution, that crores of people stood on the assembly lines to produce something without using their creativity. So they were converted almost like machines. And Frederick Taylor, who gave the first scientific management principle, said that those who operate on the machines should not think, and those who think should not operate. So much of clear divorce between creativity and the machines was very, very clear. So the victory of the people to transform human beings into machines was perhaps the worst of the gifts of 20th century. But the best of the good news that 20th century towards its close brought is that you cannot bring out human beings out of machines. The other way around is not possible. Okay? So this was a very important thing, and this is a proof for you. All of you who use net banking accounts have realized this. Had they been resembling human intelligence, then they could have also deciphered the CAPTCHA and entered it correctly. There were some difficulties. First of all, what makes all the difference in physical education is the sensitivity, the accuracy, the dynamic range of our sensors, like human eye. Okay? The robotics also is in its infancy because our body, our sensory motor system is so evolved over 3.5 million years that the technology is far behind that. The simple exercise I can request you to do after this lecture, of course with the help of ChatGPT nowadays, is that in which are the 5 important ways in which human eye is superior to the camera of your smartphones. And you will be amazed to see what ChatGPT tells about human eye. Okay, very profound organ which we have got. So every the sense organ as well as the motor organs is far ahead of the technology. So we cannot replicate or mimic human intelligence for one of those reasons. Second reason is perhaps at that time there was no enough compute power, neither it is there today. So that's why we cannot mimic human intelligence. I'll just show you a simple demonstration now. Just watch my hand. Are you watching?
Yes, sir.
What happened in your brain? Positron emission tomography and functional MRI tells you that even though I was moving the hand, first I conditioned you that it's going to oscillate. Okay? So the brain gave the message from the optic nerve back to the brain that there is no need to fire the neurons because this is going to happen, predictability. And the moment I brought a discontinuity, the neurons got fired. In functional MRI, you can see them. And that is the reason why at only 22 watt, our brain does so many things. So respect your brain. Okay, our machines have been very, very power hungry. Okay, that's only electrical power I'm talking, not about the compute power. About compute power we'll talk later. So this is one of the difficulty we cannot, so mimic that, because many things in our life the brain is continuously processing, but the capacity to conserve power, to use it most optimally, is far from that what we have been able to develop in machines. We give power to all chips. When the computer is on, all chips get power. Okay, that doesn't happen in brain. Next thing, the programming paradigms, the way brain processes information is far different from what we have been able to accomplish in abstracting the programming paradigms and methodologies. And there is a mistaken assumption at that time that whatever we were developing on the machines was exactly going to resemble the human intelligence. That itself was a mistaken assumption. Because when a student copies in an examination, all students here are very, very sincere students nowadays, sir. None of them have this experience. I am telling them that the student who copies in the examination holds a model answer in his hand. Then only he can copy. When you are copying the human intelligence in the machine, you must know exactly what is human intelligence. And that we still do not know, even today. And perhaps it's an unfathomable dream of the humankind to know themselves. So, simulation is not duplication. What we are doing is simulation, and it is not duplication. Those who work in fitness, sports, etc. must remember this, that whatever may happen in the machines, it will be limited simulation of what we are. And therefore, the sports education has to give tremendous importance to the human aspects of it and use AI only as an aid. Simulation is not duplication. When you train a pilot by using best of the AI in flight simulator, the flight simulator is a flight simulator and it is not an aircraft. As soon as the pilot comes out, Gokhale sir is sitting here, as soon as he comes out, he realizes that he was not in the aircraft actually. Aircraft is far more complex than that. So the 20th century notion that artificial intelligence resembles with human intelligence is by now outdated. And that is the understanding I want to bring to you. As a result, what happened? all the capitalist societies who were funding for this research, they stopped funding. And next 20 years of the time is called in our field as AI winter, because they realized that funding this futile effort is not going to bring commercial results. So the funding stopped. AI winter. And then came a great vision. And that vision is this: that artificial intelligence is not going to be like human intelligence. It's going to do something which is characteristically different from what human intelligence can do. And that is required by the society. There are a large number of tasks which human beings require, which human intelligence is not able to perform. So the complementarity, not the supplementarity or the replaceability, but the complementarity was underlined. And then came a great vision, and that is of Geoffrey Hinton. And you know who is this gentleman? Huh? He got last year's Nobel Prize, okay? And that too in physics. Huh? I will not elaborate. I am a physicist, so I may fall in love with that part of the speech. So I will not do that. So basically, he is the person who first brought this idea of backpropagation and neural networks. From there, we started developing an artificial intelligence which is non-human-like intelligence. Okay? Just have a basic theoretical clarity, conceptual clarity, that artificial intelligence that you use in several apps of your phones, and your phones have a capacity to use something like, there are 92 lakh apps currently available in various Play Store and App Store, etc. Out of that, large number of those apps are getting powered by AI. Right now, some 10,000 apps have already got powered by AI. Eventually, 92 lakhs will get powered. By that time, the number of apps will increase. But the thing is that all those apps, they are non-human-like intelligence. None of them try to replace human intelligence. It's not affordable, commercially not affordable. So Geoffrey Hinton brought this idea, and then learning by adjusting the weights of the neural networks. And I will show you some demo of that later. He brought the idea of modern deep learning, and this is how it works. Just watch it carefully. Are you able to read what is there in it? Still, it was wrong answer. It got it. Okay. Now, what I did here is a very, very limited demo of what actually happens. And number of layers I have not shown. The number of layers that you see, those circles, vertical columns of circles, a large number of them are processors. Their weights are getting organized, completely getting adjusted till such time it gives the correct answer. Okay. So the back propagation was also happening. You saw the back propagation visibly. The number of such layers, when you start increasing, the number of vertical columns of those circles, those processors, when you start increasing, it thereby results into what is called as deep learning. Okay, and I showed it for the want of time here, but actually to understand that it is a cat, it goes through something like 1 million times various images of cats with those ears and mustaches and various postures the cat can take, and so many, the big data has to be fed, and then you have to train the algorithm, and then it finally reaches the conclusion that it's a cat. Okay, so AI takes very large data set to come at very, very trivial decisions, whereas a child, you show some 4 pictures of cat, let some time elapse, and then you bring actual cat, it says, okay, cat. So human beings have enormous capacity of taking decisions on small data sets. Okay. The major leap that happened is, Gary Kasparov was defeated by IBM Deep Blue. This is that historic photo. Okay. Because in chess, it's all mathematical intelligence. Okay, there is less humanness in chess. So it could be decoded. Okay, and it created a hue and cry. Now IBM Deep Blue became like a hero looking down on Kasparov. But later on, what happened? The teams of Kasparov and the teams of IBM Deep Blue, when they met each other, then the team of human beings could defeat the artificial intelligence, but limited success. Next one is the NLP, natural language processing, that we use in ChatGPT. IBM Watson wins Jeopardy, another game in which IBM Watson could win. Now IBM Watson claims that IBM Watson is the future of justice. That is, it not only writes the arguments of almost 90% lawyers in the US today, but it wants to go a step forward and say that it will be also replacing the judges of the American courts, because they have declared the vision that IBM Watson is going to future of justice. So this is how it's going. Wherever this is that famous photograph when Jeopardy was won by IBM Watson. This is another thing, big thing. This game, AlphaGo, which was won by the machine, AlphaGo's machine, which was this is a Chinese champion of this thing, and you can see that, and how many transactions are there in this? How many moves are there in this? Can you see that? The number of moves are more than number of atoms in the entire universe. Still, AlphaGo could win, and that created a big, hue and cry in the world. And this is called reinforcement learning of neural networks. This is a new step. Then came the previous version of GPT, and this was a large language model. And there are 6 layers of large language model like this. I will not go into the theory of this, but this is very exciting human progress, that it created some of the philosophical questions for professors like Professor Sonawane and others, whether knowledge is syntactic or semantic, whether knowledge resides only in the words, and whether the ability to process words and forecast next words, like what ChatGPT does, whether that is language, whether that is knowledge, whether that is intelligence, whether that is consciousness. These are the philosophical questions. I will not debate them today here, but these are some of the very interesting questions that have arisen before our civilization, and the young people here, they will have to tackle these questions. But this is the way the large language model started functioning. These are zones of complexity, and how many parameters were used. Now even more. So it starts producing human-like text, and I don't have to mention that from this auditorium where large number of students are sitting, for whom the essays have been already written by ChatGPT. And those essays have been almost mimicking human intelligence and passing the Turing test. If I ask, write an essay on my experience of a circus, then ChatGPT gives better essay than what I can write. But I fooled him, and he fooled me. I wrote an essay by only describing circus rather than my experience of the circus, and then gave some evaluation rubrics and asked it to evaluate my essay. It gave me 0 marks. When I asked him why did he do that, he said there was no I statement in that essay. It's not your experience at all, whether the title of the essay suggests that. 0 marks. So anyway, human-like text was a big, victory of human beings, humankind. Then the next thing is, in bioinformatics, this was a 50-year-old problem, which was not solved. The prediction of protein structures, which was solved in front of our eyes. Now it gets solved in few seconds. So then came the brilliant idea by Goodfellow, and that was, you go in 2 ways, generating and evaluating. So you validate the answers which are given. So these are adversarial networks which work against each other. And then the validation takes place, and a valid text is produced for you. And this was another big success in this. Like, means why I'm telling you this is how we started becoming non-human like, developing non-human like intelligence. These were not resembling with anything like human intelligence. And this is the example, you can see that. This is how the discriminator sits in between and validates the knowledge on GANs. These are called as GANs, GANs, okay? And all the deep fake that you experience is because of that. Because it keeps on validating and revalidating whether the fake appears to be more realistic than the actual reality. And that's why you trust it. Your father perhaps get a phone call from your mother saying that you please transfer 100,000 rupees immediately on such and such account. The voice cloning that happens because of GAN. The mother's sample of only 30 seconds is enough to produce a non-structured conversation with the father in exactly her voice of voice cloning. And when he returns home, you know what happens. Anyway, so entire deepfake is based on this algorithm, and deepfake has some very interesting good applications also in movies, etc. And then came your friend, today's friend, and DeepSeek. And DeepSeek we downloaded completely on an isolated computer, then disconnected internet, and still it is able to give us fantastic results. All that it fails is in general knowledge, because that keeps changing every day. Like what Honorable Minister was saying, that the Palak Mantri roz badaltat, त्याच्यामुळे that it may not know, because we have disconnected it from internet, but the model works because DeepSeek, the entire code is available to you, and when you give some prompt and when you get some answer, it also gives the explanation. So it's called an explainable AI, which currently ChatGPT doesn't give. Okay. So the distinctive characteristics of this is you give only a seed program, and then it starts going through the loops which I showed you of learning, relearning, unlearning, and self-correcting and self-improving. This process is slightly similar to the process where you learn to walk in your childhood. You learn to walk by crawling and falling. So the theory goes that learning by failure. Now, if all learning is by failure, and if we want to learn fast, what should happen? If all learning is by failure, and if you want to learn fast, then what you should do? Oh, no human intelligence here? Huh? Yes. So you should be allowed to fail fast. If you want to learn fast, and if all learning is by failure, you should be allowed to fail fast, which your schools and colleges do not allow you so much. But your childhood did permit. So you could learn fast. Therefore here, the speed of the machine helps it to fail fast. And through that, with the adversarial networks, it learns fast. And that's why it learns languages so fast that translation technologies came, and within few years it had already learned 110 prominent languages of the world. Why it happens? Because it is allowed to fail fast at the supercomputing speeds. So the new direction of AI is that it surpasses the human capabilities. And here comes two important points, is that it's not only fast, deep and objective, but it analyzes the big data very fast, and Honorable Minister told you the kind of examples of pattern recognition. Okay, it may not know the causal relationship, but it finds out the correlations. Okay, if you give the data, patient's data of say 1 million patients, health data, and then you supply the images of retina, the capillary network on the retina images, and let it learn, okay, by machine learning, which I showed you, deep learning. It comes out with a pattern which is so non-obvious. We had never seen that pattern. None of the experts in medical sciences knew that. But now, with that intelligence, now you just give the retinal, image, and it completely diagnoses whether what is the probability at which you will get diabetes or hypertension or cardiac ailment or stroke, etc. So the democratization of healthcare is perhaps around the corner. So that is the power of this technology, that it finds very non-obvious patterns. And all that we are getting today is all by pattern recognition. The simplest example I can give you is when I do the handwritten mode. How many of you use handwritten mode while responding to some messages in WhatsApp? Yes or no? Yeah. So when I write in Marathi also, very bad handwriting. Sometimes I'm in a moving car with jerky roads and still it correctly takes my handwriting and converts it into text. Why it happens? It's because he has found out the patterns of my strokes. Okay? And that is why it realizes that anywhere when I write a word, say ko, it understands ko, even though it is very different than the ideal print. Some of the applications, let's visit quickly, today and tomorrow. These are known to you, but what is the difference between the two? Google search will produce you millions of results, whereas you wanted only one. Okay, ChatGPT gives you one and only one. Second important difference is both of them are examples of AI. Remember, both of them are examples of AI. The search engine of Google is a very interesting business model. Every time you search, you get search results, but the search engine of Google gets powerful. Okay, so it's like the Japanese saw. The Japanese farmers use the saw, which is such that whenever they go for harvesting, they cut the rice. Every time few molecules of the saw are disconnected, detached, and the saw gets sharpened. So the very process of harvesting sharpens the saw. It's very interesting. So the very process of searching sharpens the search engine. So the Google C.K. Prahalad wrote a book on 2004, The Future of Competition, in which he had imagined this to happen in the world. And it did happen. And what is that? Which companies will survive in competition? The companies which will co-create their products and services with the help of customers. So the more number of customers use Google search engine, the Google search engine becomes more and more powerful. Okay? Because it learns every time by self-correction and self-improvement. Okay? So it is also AI. And because Sergey Brin has given only the seed algorithm, later on the machine is developing. Now why it is called non-human-like intelligence? We can understand from Google. See, if you see the code of search engine today, you hardly find the origins of it in what Sergey Brin gave as a seed algorithm. Because the software gets more and more intelligent by interacting with the customer's request. So the software writes better software, that writes better software, that writes better software. So you get what are called as software mutants. And therefore, what happens like for you, like your great-great-grandparents, if I put their photographs near your photographs, they hardly resemble. Because you have gone through several generations. That same thing happens. The human intelligence is not to be seen in the present form of the algorithm as it exists today in any of the AI applications. So that is why it is called non-human-like. And why software has to write more software is because our civilization is increasingly becoming software civilization. Like it cannot exist without the oil, it cannot also exist without software. Okay? It's a life-saving thing now. So if this civilization requires software and more software, the human beings will not able to write so much of software. So the software has to write software. Okay, and the jobs are to write softwares which can write better softwares. The jobs are not for writing software, the original software that we were writing. What we did in our careers, the program into data is equal to change data. That was our entire work of whatever we did in 40 years is on one line. Program into data is change data. Bas, now what happens? Now you don't start with the program, you start with the data. It's so much of inverted. You start with the data and you analyze the data, and from that data you go to machine learning. From machine learning you go to algorithm, that is a program. So now you go from data to program. Previously we went from program to data. Okay, so much of change. So that's why Google is doing that. Now, what does ChatGPT do? It gives one and only one answer, but characteristically different from Google, and that is, it has the capability of natural language processing. It talks to you like you talk to another human being. You keep giving prompts and you say, hey, Grok, wrong answer you are giving. This is not what I want. It immediately apologizes. It says, sorry, please give me exactly what you want. And it improves. Okay? In between, it was giving some bad words also, some choicest words. Then I told him that, you have to restrain yourself. He says, sorry, hereafter I will improve my social behavior. Natural language processing. Okay? So, yeah, these are some of the very interesting applications, and you are all doing that, like, you write emails and filter emails, and, so many educational contents you develop, online searches you do, and automate your lots of works. So, and this is an interesting application. Many of you may be using. I do use it every day almost. I started using computers in 1977. But the biggest problem with me as of today even is that my typing speed is very poor. Okay? And my colleagues always laugh at me that even after such a long time, you look at the keyboard and type, whereas they don't look at the keyboard. Now my typing speed is approximately 150 words per minute to 200 words per minute. Not only in English, but in Devanagari. Because I use voice typing. And voice typing is one of the finest applications of AI. Okay, because 20 years also I was using voice typing. When I was in CDAC, when we were building our India's first indigenous supercomputers, I was using the voice typing. That was an application called Dragon. But it had to be trained by me, and it worked only for me. When I went on tours, my PA, when she started dictating, it didn't take anything at all. She complained that, sir, it doesn't take. I said, yes, it's a rule-based AI. Okay, it's not pattern-based AI at that time. It was rule-based AI. So every person, every individual had to train the Dragon for himself or herself, because it was rule-based. Now what happens? You open your WhatsApp, and especially children are not typing, they are giving all voice inputs, you must have seen. Yes. They want some song, etc., they give only voice. So 150 words per minute, and you'll be surprised that I type even the words like Dhrutarashtra, Drushtadhyumna, Pradyumna, exact text, near perfect. So that is the power of AI, Now,
hello, everyone. Welcome to the world of AI.
Now change the voice and accent.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the world of AI.
Okay? There's so many tools from audio generation, and plethora of tools, everyday tools are coming. Another thing is translation. I normally read People's Daily of China in Marathi every day. Okay, exact translations. No problem. One day I came across a news. Xi Jinping यांनी चीनी जनतेला आशीर्वाद दिले. I was shocked. I said, how come a communist starts giving blessings? So I immediately shifted the language. I thought some problem in the translation technology. So let me see what is in English. English also, you have a blessing. I said, that is wrong. English may be wrong. I called my friend who knows Chinese. He said, it's absolutely correct. I said, how come? He said, don't you know that she has become so big? Now it is like a god. So he gives blessings. Meaning thereby that the technology was perfect. Okay? The translation was not wrong. So, and this has completely vanished the barriers among various people. Now, hereafter, perhaps in Maharashtra, our students may not have to learn English at all. English may remain on the background as a cultural aspects, okay, but not an economic necessity. Because you can speak in Marathi, transact in Marathi with a person, the sugarcane grower, like what Honorable Minister was saying, the sugarcane grower of Maharashtra can easily converse with sugarcane grower of Brazil in their own languages on either side. Okay. Now the exact interesting problem is there on the research table, and that is 10 people are doing audio conferencing, each one having a different language. They are speaking in their own language and still they can get the communication in their own language. And still the conference becomes commercially completely successful. They sign a deal. Okay, this is the problem on the design table. Okay, so these are some of the interesting things of AI. We teach AI in our IT literacy program, and this is the curriculum map of that. There is text, there is graphics, there is animation, there are audios, videos, and images. And either of them can be translated into other, converted into other with the help of so many AI tools. So it's a fully connected topography. And you can see that even text is in variety of forms, like it's a Word document, PDF, etc., and they can be interconverted. So the whole text whole curriculum that we teach to the children of villages of even Maharashtra is this diagram. And you click on any of that diagram, any of the lines, and that tool starts, the children start learning that tool. Okay? And then they switch to another line, they start learning that. Okay? So that's a fun. So this is a geometrization of the curriculum of AI. And nothing falls beyond this. Okay? New tools will keep coming, old tools will get replaced, but the diagram will remain. Because these are the basic 6 forms of communication that we use. There are coding and writing and translation, and I don't have to tell much about it. And like DALI and Leonardo and Midjourney and so many tools have become very popular. Some of the people sitting here have already started looking at their face and replacing here Mona Lisa's face. Okay, Remini. Okay, Synthesia. You give the text and it produces video even with subtitling and dubbing. Okay? Then producing same song with different tools. How many of you have used GarageBand, by the way? GarageBand app? Okay, doesn't matter. But you can try GarageBand. It's an app store. And you can, without having any physical musical instrument, you can always play any instrument. Okay? You can check that. That is the power of AI. This you will have to wait for a few seconds. Just wait and listen carefully and read on the text. Read the text on the screen slowly.
राही मनवा दुख की चिंता क्यों सताती है दुख तो अपना साथी है चिंता क्यों सताती है दुख तो अपना साथी है सुख है एक छाँव ढलती आती है जाती है दुख तो अपना साथी है दूर है मंजिल दूर सही प्यार हमारा क्या कम है पग में कांटे लाख सही पर ये सहारा क्या कम है हम राह तेरे कोई अपना तो है हमरा तेरे कोई अपना तो है ओ सुख है एक छाँव ढलती आती है जाती है दुख तो अपना साथी है दाही मनवा दुख की चिंता क्यों सताती
What I wanted to show you is not to just entertain you, because you must have got bored due to my lecture, but very interesting thing. See, this song and many such old Hindi songs have been recorded with the singer and all the players of the instrument sitting in one place. And it's analog recording, it's not digital recording. Those technologies did not exist. The power of AI is it was able to completely segregate each and every instrument and each and every effect. You got that? From analog to digital. It made sense of everything embedded in one analog file. That is the power of AI. You got it? When Shankar Jaikisan recorded that famous song, you know, that Aaj Main Upar Asman Niche, you know what happened? He had to use 150 players on various instruments, and his studio did not permit that. I recently listened to this episode on Indian Idols. So he literally completely demolished a wall in his studio and brought 150 players together and recorded Asma Upar, Aaj Main Upar Asman Niche. That song, if you take, it can analyze each and every of those instruments. Okay, that is the power of AI. And there are many tools for design and tools for videos and virtualization. Virtualization is a mega trend. Okay, so the thing is that people want, especially the children, for them now, because they belong to this generation, for them, the virtual reality is more real than the real reality. Okay, Professor Sawant, a very philosophical statement, but please permit me to make it. That is the reality today. Okay, virtual reality is more real than the real reality. Okay, for them. So they are into a different world altogether. This is the kind of effects. Okay, and so the improving the machine capabilities beyond that of human beings, the kind of patterns that it is recognizing, and you can see all these patterns are, you know, there with you, and you know, they are secreting dopamine more and more in your brains. When the product starts moving out of the you know, warehouse and starts coming to your residence, all AI does is to increase your happiness hormone. Yes. That kind of experience you don't get by actually going and physically buying something. That is Amazon's model. Okay. And then self-improving tools for so many things. Even for drones manufacturing, AI is used. And these are the various effects that you can create, from customer support to healthcare to forensic and many such things. This is, you can create TikToks out of it. And then Starry can create these kinds of, you know, effects for you. Hollywood is completely changed by AI. The realistic or special effects in Hollywood movies. You maybe some of you may be using Sora, so then already know this. This AI can also tell you not only how you will look young, how will you look old when you grow old, or the other way around as well. Okay. Then the civilizational problems of pollution, etc., tracking. So it's like creating, don't get horrified by my words, but something like a programmable civilization. Okay, because planet has to be managed now. If some particular species is being killed in a sea, then simultaneously instant actions will have to be created, because we have to save the planet. Our generation, previous generation have damaged the planet. And human intelligence is not enough to save the planet. It requires partnership with non-human-like intelligence, new AI, without which we cannot solve the problem of climate change or global warming, and restoring or regenerating or rejuvenating the ecosystems. Single-use plastic is one such problem. And the problem was posed to AI. Single-use plastic, the decomposition takes something like 1,000 years. Now with the help of AI, most of the experiments were created in silico, that is machine, and then few experiments in vitro. And now we have been able to synthesize an enzyme which dissolves the single-use plastic in 1 week's time. Of course, that doesn't mean that now you should use more and more single-use plastic. Okay? And some of the special function robots, and that is the future. So BC2AD is this. Okay, we have to change our mindset when we go from BC to AD. Most of the things are still we are doing in BC, so we have to change our mindset. And so many mega trends are coming on us, and all these mega trends are being influenced by one single mega trend, that is cognification. It's a new word in English. Okay, previously when farmers used to use a hand pump, we used to tell them electrify. That is, make an electric pump. Now, when he's using electric pump, what do we say? Cognify. Use a smart pump. You know, one of the mega trends that you see here, which is written in saffron color, that is mobilization. You want everything on mobile phone. Your bank is there, your library is there, your movies are there, your television is there. Everything is there on the smartphone, mobile phone. That's a mega trend called mobilization. Why it is called mega trend? Why it is not going to reverse? It's simply because I give you a simple problem here. That suppose I want to start a movement that ban mobile phones on this planet. So in order to start this movement, I will have to organize people. And what will I use to organize people for this movement?
Mobile.
Got it? That is called megatrend. Okay? You cannot confront it. You have to ride on it. And when you ride on these megatrends, another megatrend is riding on all these megatrends, that is cognification. That's why whether you take digitization, automation, all megatrends are being ridden by cognification. For example, Marathi manuscripts of last 100, right from 1857, they are in Mumbai Marathi Grantha Sangrahalaya. Their president asked me to see what can be done. So I brought AI technology where what you see is what you get. You see Lokmanya Tilak's, the article in Kesari, exactly that yellowish paper, and still it becomes searchable on that. Okay? So every word, with the help of AI, we found the coordinates of it, overlaid a transparent layer of text, and so you get a feel that as if you are searching on Lokmanya's original article. That is AI. Okay? So each megatrend is being influenced by this. Now coming to jobs, Yuval Harari said that the industrial revolution created a working class, the AI revolution will create an unworking class. Correct. Simply because we are not following Mahatma Gandhi. The wholesome work, right from sowing the seed to reaping the harvest, you should be engaged and with head, hand and heart. That keeps your humanhood intact. When you distribute the work, when you piecemeal it, and when you outsource the piecemeal sections, then AI learns them very fast because you are a SOP civilization. You convert SOPs, standard operating procedures of everything. The moment you make standard operating procedures, you are gone. Okay? Because 90% of the people on this planet, while performing 90% of their modern jobs, are not using 90% of their intrinsic human capabilities. That is the problem. When I used to get phone calls from the call center girls for last 10 years, every time I say that, my sister, please talk to me like a human being. Don't talk to me like a machine. And she would say, sir, we have been given this script. I said, yes, this scripted thing has to go. You have to talk to me like a human being, another human being. She said, no, sir, we have been trained for this. Then I would say, no, that is okay, but you will get unemployed after some years. She said, sir, it is getting recorded. I would say that why it is getting recorded? She would say it is for training purposes. Who's training? She would say my other colleague, junior colleague joining. I said, no. This entire unstructured conversation between you and me and your customers is being used to train AI. And that exactly happened. And last year, almost all call centers of India have been closed down. Okay, we have reduced ourselves as machines. And then those who reduce themselves as machines, they will be unemployed because AI will be super fast. Okay, so the learning the lesson is use your intrinsic human capabilities, and those intrinsic human capabilities, there are 8 centers of intelligence in your brain. Okay, in fact 9 centers. The linguistic intelligence has 2 centers: language understanding and language expression, 2 different centers. Okay, why you cannot speak in the childhood first for 1 year? That is because your center for language understanding is getting trained. Okay, so the most important center for this conference is bodily or kinesthetic intelligence. Okay, and I will show you. I'll skip this part, the want of time. But this is symbolic manipulation that human beings have created language and scripts, and that is why we are a civilization and a culture. But this is that. These kinds of things are there with you. And Howard Gardner had a great luck that he got a big grant on one single problem, that what is the nature of true human potential and how to realize it, at Harvard Graduate School of Education. He got the grant, but his luck was that in 1979 when he started, he got 2 technologies at his hand: positron emission tomography and functional MRI. So he could study the brain in its living conditions, not the dead brain. And that's why he could understand what happens in a living brain. And the people who have bodily sports people, athletics, etc., I've shown here, their bodily intelligence is very, very high. And what is the formula for improving the intelligence? Use it or lose it. Okay, so in your sports education, you can use all sorts of AI gadgets, but you have to use the kinesthetic intelligence. That is what the message of artificial intelligence to you. Okay, emotional intelligence. Gokhale sir spoke about it. Okay, there are almost 270 emotions you can express and 7,000 gestures. This capability does not exist with the AI. Ingenuity, out of which you create engineering. Okay, so now the call of the day is transform all your engineering colleges into imagineering colleges. Only in the form of current engineering colleges they may vanish. Okay, complex thinking. There are basic differences between intelligence and intellect, which I will skip for the want of time. But the most important thing is only the explicit skills can be taught to AI, not the implicit ones. And in your sports and physical education, there are so many things which are implicit. They cannot be expressed in words. They are in action. Okay? So this is a beautiful book, What Computers Can't Do. And that will give you lots of food for thought for your physical education. Because humans have the rich sensory motor system about which I spoke earlier. Okay, and we conceive the whole reality as a whole, whereas AI conceives it piecemeal. So because it has no consciousness, it cannot watch its own emotions, its actions, and its thoughts by detaching itself from it, because all of them are only just bits for it. They are neither thoughts nor emotions nor actions. Okay? And our physical world is inseparable, whereas AI treats it objectively as a separable one. So these are some of your abilities, and you should maintain them. You know, dreams, imagination, subjective experiences, all objective questions in your examinations have to go, because ChatGPT can answer them much faster and much better. 21 expected questions, when you answer them, the expected answers in expected time, you get unexpectedly more marks. But that is not going to fetch you the jobs. AI is not job killer. AI is job category killer. Okay? Any technology is not a job killer. In the past also, in our entire civilizational history, so many technologies came. Man is a tool-making animal by anthropological view of man. All technologies came, they replaced some job categories. Like Tanga went out and rickshaws came. And more rickshaws were required. More people got the jobs. Net jobs increased, but the job category was killed. Okay, so AI will also kill job categories. So we have to be careful whether we are really working like a true human being and using our capabilities as a human being. That is our test. Okay? Gokhale sir spoke about EQ also. Adaptability and learnability are only the two things which will save you. Adaptability and learnability. Charles Darwin also said, it's not the strongest of the species who survive, nor the most intelligent ones, but only those which adapt to change. This is what he wrote in Origin of Species. And that is true for even the modern species like us. Creativity and innovation, we'll just have a small example now. Is it right or wrong? Right or wrong?
Wrong.
Wrong. You have to move only one stick and correct it. What will you do? Yes? Correct. Okay, this is your answer, correct?
Yes.
By logical thinking, you are arrived at it because your mathematics is so reasonably good and you know Roman script, correct?
Yes.
Now the next question. See how the intelligence differs from creativity. Creativity, curiosity, then the consciousness, then the flair, pratibha, then the prajna, intellect. These are not part of intelligence. So AI is not going to snatch it away from you. Your rationality, your ability to imagine is never going to be snatched away because they are not part of our intelligence at all. Okay? Now let's take the next example. Right or wrong? Right or wrong? Wrong. Correct it by moving only one stick. Okay. Agree? It's purely creative exercise. It was not to be solved by logic. You got it? So such questions have to now appear in examinations. There are multiplicity of answers, open-ended questions. Every answer is right. Every answer enriches all others who are sitting in the classroom. Okay? So that's a new culture. AI will not be able to do that. Okay? Generativity is not creativity. Generative is different from imaginative, and generative is different from emotive. Emotive actions we take thought actions, AI can also take. We take experiential, spontaneous actions, AI cannot take them. So keep getting experiences. Live the life. Don't sit down like a machine and only read books. Okay? No use. Jump into the swimming pool. Okay? Experiences and spontaneous actions. That will keep you intact in the job market and career and life and everything. Okay? And emotive. When you have very high state of emotional, existence, that time some flash occurs to you. The AI has no flash. And that flash can be irrational. Okay, you can read poetry. Most of the irrational ideas are there. That is our property. We should celebrate our irrationality. It doesn't mean that as soon as this lecture is over, you go and start irrational behavior. I'm talking about a creative irrationality, okay? Not a destructive one. So these are several things that you possess, and more you discover yourself, more you will be stronger to deal with AI. And variety of ways, when you meet together, use these 6 thinking hats so that you will experience your true humanhood and you will not be under the influence of AI, because AI can bring the kind of narrow thought processing, but broad thought creation is our capability. We are superficial, but AI can penetrate. We are subjective, and we should celebrate our subjectivity. Every student must get a different question paper. Every student must get, like Professor Sonawade spoke about, mass personalization. Every student must get a different type of education, which is befitting to his passions and capabilities and perseverance and his grit. And we can synthesize ideas. We have wisdom. We are not possible to be automated by anyone. Okay, some deep fake may influence you for some time to what to buy or whom to marry or what to eat or to whom to vote. But over a period of time, you overcome that. Okay? So, but the AI has so many things to come, Gokhale sir spoke about various regulatory actions to be taken. So these are the regulations required. When you buy a medicine, on that box, all regulations are there that it contains these kind of ingredients, these side effects, this, that, everything. So research may happen on anything, but the public release has to go through the regulations. So similarly in AI, the research can happen in laboratories, but its public release must happen through a regulation. After Nagasaki, 1945, no atomic bomb has been dropped on human civilization. It's because there are intricate international understanding and regulations and frameworks so that nobody can even think of dropping an atomic weapon on human settlement. Okay, this is what we have achieved. Now in similar way, in AI, we have to create so many regulations so it cannot be misused against us. So basically, coming to the end, AI is different from human intelligence. It's not your competitor, opponent, killer, enemy, etc., etc. Okay, it's complementary. Both of them are complementary to each other, and it has so many things. It can help you. It can partner with you in so many things. Okay, you can read and deeper and so many things. And all these things which I have written in this slide, I am personally using. Okay, I'm not telling any story or something which is imaginary. Everything I'm using it. It's my working buddy, it's my learning buddy, everything. Okay, my smart assistant, my challenger, my critic, everything. Whenever I think something, I talk to ChatGPT that now please analyze my thoughts against the contemporary thoughts. Then I say that please analyze my thoughts as against the traditional thoughts, the postmodern thoughts, and it gives me my critic. Okay, so let the human beings become better at what human beings are good at. That is the purpose of education. Okay, and human beings have so many things. In the limited time, I could not tell you so many attributes of intrinsic human capabilities. And let the machines, that is AI, be made better at what it is good at, that is non-human things, which human beings cannot do. I cannot translate 110 languages at speed of light, not possible for me. Okay, and the behaviorism has to go from education, constructivism has to come. There was one French novelist who was imprisoned because of some problem, and while in prison he thought that I must create a school after I go out and give full freedom to the students. He gave that, and one day he gave the problem that please write an essay on my favorite bird. And this is part of his novel, I'm just narrating. One child wrote, "Sir, my most favorite bird is an owl." Now you give to ChatGPT my favorite bird, it will never give you owl. Then the child says, "Sir, but it is not seen during the day, it is seen only during the night. So can I write something on cow?" The essay is my favorite bird. So can I write something on cow? A cow has 6 sides, front, back, left and right. In the front, it has got 2 horns so that mouth can be located in between. And at the back, it has got a long tail so as to flick the flies which would otherwise fall into the milk. This kind of creative essay, it comes out of constructivist education when every child is given freedom to express what he or she thinks. Finally, the way forward is to forge the partnership. Okay, that is the only way. Computers are incredibly fast, accurate, but stupid. Okay, human beings are incredibly slow, inaccurate, but intelligent. The two together can do incredible things. Finally, I will tell you an amusing story and conclude. Because the human intelligence will be better understood now, hereafter, by brain mapping technologies, that is by using artificial intelligence. That's a very interesting thing. Human intelligence will enrich artificial intelligence will enrich human intelligence. Once when I was in Paris, while visiting the Eiffel Tower, which you can see in this photograph, I was wondering about the history. I came to know that Gustav Eiffel wanted to construct this tower at the beginning of a trade fair. So all the people from Paris started opposing it. He said, in the beautiful city of Paris, how can you locate an iron, skeleton in the midst of the city. The whole beauty of the city will be spoiled. So they were agitating against it. Gustav Eiffel was not able to give any reply to them. He quietly was working. Somehow he managed to build the tower. Guy de Maupassant was their leader of that agitation. And what Guy de Maupassant used to do, because that spelling cannot be pronounced correctly, I have written it in Devanagari. Guy de Maupassant, what he used to do, after construction of the tower and after the trade fair, he used to climb down. Now there are lifts, but he used to climb down, sit in the coffee bar on the top of the tower and write articles against Eiffel Tower. Every day. Come down, publish it in newspapers. The heading of the column was, "From the top of Eiffel Tower." One day in the public meeting, people caught him. They said, "Guy, it's not a contradictory behavior on your part that you climb all the way up the tower and criticize it." He said, "No, this is not contradictory at all. Absolutely consistent behavior." He said, "How?" He said, "Now what can I do? In the entire beautiful city of Paris city, I can see my beautiful Paris city without Eiffel Tower only from the top of Eiffel Tower." Now, I must tell you, friends, that if you want to understand the real true nature of human intelligence, you will be able to see that only from the top of the Eiffel Tower of artificial intelligence. So the message of the day is partnership. These are my wonderful colleagues who helped me to develop some of the pictures in this slideshow were developed by AI. Okay, you must have realized some of the pictures, for example, this is developed by AI. And I alone could not develop them. So I took the help of 10 different people. So Shraddha madam, a team of 10 colleagues worked for you. Okay, so my gratitude to all of them. And finally, I thank Shraddha madam, Rohan ji and all others to have invited me here, and especially to you that such a patient listening for such a long time. Thank you.